If you've been following along, we are working on my Vermeer mini skid steer, and now we are to the point where we can remove the hydraulic motors from the drive system underneath the operator's platform. So we are going to do that now. If you want to see how we've gotten this far, check out some of my other videos. We are going to start by removing the left drive motor, and before we can do that, we actually need to remove the parking brake cylinder. To remove the parking brake cylinder, we first need to hydraulically disconnect it by disconnecting the hose that is going to the top. This takes a 9/16 wrench. And throughout this whole process, you want to try to minimize the amount of dirt that could get in the hydraulic system. So I'm going to clean fittings off as I go. I'm going to go ahead and have a catch pan ready in case oil comes out, and I can see some oil coming there. So when I get this off here, I am going to try to quickly assess what type of plug the hose needs, and then plug it to both prevent excessive hydraulic draining and mainly keep dirt out of the hose. So I've got my JIC plug here. We'll see if I can make this work. So now we have this hose and the cylinder disconnected. We have a plug in the hose and a cap on the cylinder, so let's move back to the outside. Now that we have that hose disconnected, let's go ahead and free the cylinder from the body of the machine. To do that, we just need to loosen this bolt right here and the jam nut that is on it. So I'm going to go ahead and just clean that up. And this grease zerk here might get in the way, so it looks like I might have to remove it, but we shall see. We'll take it one step at a time. So this jam nut takes a 1/2-inch wrench, so let's see if we can break it loose. I'm going to go ahead and give this a little bit of penetrating oil. The jam nut is definitely loose now, so I'll go ahead and try to get the set screw out, and I'm using a 12.3/8 socket. The set screw is out. Clean up the face of this. I think this ring that I'm cleaning out right now is where the cylinder is pressed into the undercarriage. So this groove here is actually the outside of the cylinder. So I'm going to clean this groove up and try putting a little bit of penetrating oil in it. Okay, I'm just going to gently tap on this and see if I can get it to move backwards at all. Well, it does not seem to be in a hurry to go anywhere. Oh, I saw it move a little bit. Okay, it is moving, which is good, but that grease zerk is going to be in the way. So this takes a 7/16. See if I can get it out without breaking it off. Well, it looks like I need to tap it back out so that I can get that grease zerk out. At least I'm getting the cylinder nice and exercised. Get the dirt away from the grease zerk. And that grease zerk looks to have some very old grease in it. So, hard telling the last time that was used. But I'm going to go get a pipe plug and put in that hole without disturbing anything to try to prevent dirt from falling down in there. I have an 1/8-inch pipe plug here. Just going to dip in oil, put it right in our cylinder. That'll do. I just want a dust cover. So that penetrating oil, I think, really works. Just about out. And there's our cylinder. Good old parking brake. So now I will clean this up a little bit and set it aside for now. If you're curious, this is what the parking brake cylinder says on it. Now that we have an unobstructed view and access to the left-hand motor, we are going to repeat the process that we just used on the cylinder with the motor. That is, remove the hoses, cap and plug them, and then extract the motor from the chassis. Just like before, we are going to start by cleaning our fittings to try to minimize contamination down the road. My main concern is getting dirt out of the seam, essentially, between the hose and the motor. To try to keep the dust down, I'm going to just spray what I could not remove. Prepare a plug and a cap so that we can cover up our connections. So now I'm going to start with the hose closest to me here, and this takes a 7/8 wrench. You can see that the hose is now off, and it's actually just being held against the motor by the tension on the hose itself, because it doesn't have a lot of room to swing down. I'm going to go ahead and push down, try to get this off the motor. There we go. There you can see oil coming out of the motor. So I'm going to take my cap, put it up on the motor, and take my plug and put it on the hose. I'm not worried about getting these super tight at this moment. It's mainly just to keep dust out. Now we have another identical hose behind the first one. This small connection back here is, I believe, the case drain for the motor, and it takes a 9/16 wrench. The hoses are disconnected and plugged, and so we are ready to remove the motor from the chassis. The way we do that is by removing the 4 mounting bolts that hold it in place. Now, the bolt heads are accessible from the outside of the machine, but it seems that there are loose nuts here on the inside of the chassis. So I was hoping to just thread the bolts out from the outside without having to hold anything on the inside, but we might have to hold those nuts. So let's go ahead and try it on the outside alone and see how far we get. So we're going to try taking these off with a 3/4 inch socket, and I did spray the threads on the other side with penetrating oil to act as a lubricant. So let's see if the little 12-volt impact can move them. Okay, well, I am actually spinning them, but it does not feel like I'm threading it out. So I'm going to get a second person to hold the breaker bar on the nut for me. Yep, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, well I can grab my air impact. Ready?
Yep. Quick.
Yep.
My gun's quiet.
Yeah. Oh, that's.
It's supposed to be though, right?
Yeah, it's
That's
supposed to be.
the quiet one.
Yep. Now this motor should pull out toward or pull in through the inside.
Okay.
I think it's just stuck to the frame.
I bet. Oh, it's moving.
Yeah. Yeah, you're
Going.
Yep. Keep going.
Okay.
There we go.
Fell in.
It's got a little weight to it.
It does.
Ooh, ow.
Careful.
Am I caught on something? Oh, I'm hitting that big hose up there.
Yep. Okay, there you're clear of the hose.
Okay, I got it.
You got it?
Yep.
Okay.
Can I get a hold of it there and read for you?
I just need to back out. So there it is, the left-hand drive motor off the Vermeer mini skid steer. So the nuts that were on the inside of the machine actually ended up being a little bit more difficult to get to than I expected. The two rearward ones weren't too bad, but the two forward ones sort of had some hoses in the way. You can see this bore right here, this shelf, that was kind of pressed into the side of the chassis, so that's why we had to tap it out. There's a little bit of an interference fit there to hold the motor in that piloted bore. And here's the beautiful mess that is the underbelly of the machine. Now that the motor is out of there, you can see there's still quite a bit of dirt left, so this will need a good cleaning here soon.